So to begin with, I need you to lend me your memories, all right? And eventually we'll get to your imagination. Let me ask you this first. Let's take 3 deep breaths, all right? So one, another one, and three. Close your eyes, clear your mind, and think about everything that we have been as a civilization in the past year. I want you to remember also those random thoughts that you might have had that crossed your mind during the last year, all right? Let's start. Remember, it's December 2019. A strange virus has surfaced in Wuhan. Well, it's too far from where we are. Should we send some help to China? My New Year resolution list is going crazy. Have you applied for college yet? Did you see the stories around the origin of the virus? Man, what is this virus? That is what December 2000 looked like. Cut to January 2020. It's here, the new decade, finally. Wait, the virus is here in India too? Are you sure it's the same thing? Has WHO released any more information around it? Well, Kerala is still far. Are the results for pre-board out? My resolution list is not working out. Has your university replied? More cases in Kerala? Someone needs to stop this from spreading. Now, fast forward to the second wave. It's been over a year. My birthday was such a bust. I've been helping people affected with COVID. Did you see the fundraiser? Are you donating there? Is the other one more reliable? Well, studying online is the new normal. No cars on the road is new normal. Wearing a mask is the new normal. Sanitizing a billion times throughout the day is the new normal. I can hear the birds again. Well, that was a new normal. And cut to today, all right? So we've done 3 different time periods. Cut to today. There's a lady, the lady being me, is reminding us how stressful the past year has been. How much we've been through together, right? This lady, again, the lady being me, is mentioning the term new normal a little more than I'd be comfortable with. So exactly where is this conversation going? Let's take another 10 seconds, okay? I need you to fast forward to 2025. Close your eyes and imagine. It's an absolute blank slate. Your imagination is what dictates its outcome. And we're no longer at the mercy of this virus. So tell me, guys, are you throwing that graduation cap into spotless skies? Are the birds your natural alarm clock instead of the morning traffic? Or are you celebrating your birthday on a clear blue beach, hopefully swimming with dolphins? Remember this image, all right? The one that you just had. In this 15 minutes that I have with you, I cannot give you a definite solution, but what I can give you are maybe ways to arrive at a more productive solution. So my conversation that I wish to have on this platform is going to be that being one of the most superior species on the planet Earth, we let a parasite dictate our normal. We're literally at the mercy of this disease to letting it navigate our routine. To give more perspective to you, let me give you some background on what this new normal really looks like. You know, our new normal, of course, resulted in reduction in petroleum, which was a great thing because we had fewer cars on the road. There was, of course, less production of other goods. Manufacturing came to a halt. But it just made virgin plastic more and more cheaper to manufacture. Now imagine, all right, what would this sudden lifestyle change due to the pandemic, of course, and the cost paid that came with cheaper manufacturing of plastic do to our ecosystem? I'll put things to numbers, all right? Now, as a report released in September 2020, if the world population would just use one disposable mask, we would be looking at the global consumption and waste of 129 billion face masks. You know, that's about 3 million face masks used per minute. It's quite a lot. Now, I would also like to acknowledge that human health was and still is a priority to this long battle against the virus, but not at the prolonged cost of our environment, right? There's a statement quoted by the French cleanup charity which said that there's a risk of being more masked than jellyfish. And this has happened in a span of 1 year. It's really funny. And, this is something that I've also constantly questioned myself, that we see advertorials, we see ads saying disposable gloves, disposable masks, disposable PPE kits. But in reality, have you ever asked, do they really go away because of the material that they're made of? Out of sight, out of mind, but guys, it's still in existence. So you have to question those things. I'll try and put this issue a little better. The statement might seem a mouthful, but hear me out, okay? We disengage from a permanent reality while engaging in short sighted solutions for lasting problems that are indeed shaping our future as we speak. The question that lies here is how to do better at it. I can, with this conversation, maybe give you a direction on creating our normal. And this is not a new normal that I want you to create, but I need you to think about creating a better normal for everybody. And for this matter, I think I'm just going to take something from my personal life, okay? And I'll let everyone in on a secret and on a public platform, which is going to be really interesting. So, my first words were not mom and dad. Could you guess what it was? It was a simple, a dreadful why. Imagine a little kid's first word being why, a word that most of us are uncomfortable with. And also remember the disappointment my parents had because I said why instead of mom and dad. But in reality, I feel growing up with this why has really helped me. The desire for more information is what will drive change. It is literally one of the most fundamental steps in problem solving for any human labeled as a scientist, designer, inventor. But now, this curiosity is what the general population needs. You and I need to start asking these questions for our routine. Why? Once you have some time off through this, after this event, I want you to ask these really relatable, super easy questions to yourself. Why am I a contributing factor to plastic pollution? Why am I still wasting water while washing my hands? Why should I rethink or change my safety gear? Ask these questions and try and answer them as honestly as possible, okay? I'll introduce you to another interesting concept that I'm going to loop in later. This concept is called framework of moral sentimentalism. Really heavy, but the easier word for this is empathy, or putting yourself in another person's shoes and viewing the world as he, she, it does. It's an imperative for interpersonal and societal growth, of course. And also, according to researchers, it's been proven actually that a greater level of empathy will occur in members from the same community or individuals that have faced similar problems. Now, I would like you to emphasize on members of the same community or individuals that have faced similar problems. And I'll throw a question at you, or a couple of questions actually. Have you ever had a mask get stuck around your mouth? Do you think you have microplastic in your food source? Do you have or have you used COVID disposals to build your house? Or do you eat plastic directly? I don't think you have. I think maybe we might have microplastic in our food source. That is a possibility. But the rest, I don't think we've faced all of that. Now, these problems are not faced by humans, but by other living organisms present in our ecosystem. And we always forget that, we have lived alongside COVID-19, but so have these animals. Now, this brain-based capacity called empathy can be taught and amplified. So maybe we all now need to learn to be more empathetic, not towards just our community or towards the problems faced by us and others, but problems faced by animals as well and other living organisms present alongside us. The question now stays is that it is no longer about survival of the fittest, but survival for all. That's the only way we will thrive. So again, another question. How do we inculcate this pro-social behavior and become more empathetic towards animals? Ask yourself these questions. Relatable, super easy. What would it be like for you to have a plastic bag floating in your surrounding? How would you feel if you were chewing on a foreign object, and to be more specific, maybe a rubber glove? What do you do when your legs get entangled in the garbage? Again, the last one, I think it's happened to the most of us. It's happened to me for sure. But we are talking about placing this curiosity of why and what and putting it within a moral and an empathetic framework so that you as an individual could rethink your daily choices. Another question that arises after we put these things together is, I have my curiosity, I have my empathy. What am I supposed to do with that? What's the next step? You need to start looking for long-term solutions. Always remember that you're living in an ecosystem with living and non-living elements that constantly play off each other. Now, a crab being a living organism, tangled within a mask, which is a non-living organism. A penguin, a living organism, a rubber glove, chewing on a rubber glove, which is again a non-living organism. So you need to start by establishing relationship between these living and non-living objects in order to create a better normal, because these things play off each other. Another interesting fact, again coming from me, is as a young individual, my father always told me that everything was a formula, everything was a code. And the easiest way to decipher life was to create an algorithm with your own sets of constants and variables. Not fancy at all. He told me that I had to become a conscious output for my own surrounding, which is quite valid. And I think everyone should be doing that. But for someone who did not like math very much, this was literally my first panic attack at the age of 10. Because I was told to create algorithms, not just for my algebra, not for my quadratic equations, but for my daily life and choices. So here I was, being this one little real world problem solver, okay? Identifying patterns, using logic, of course, understanding reasoning to devise solutions for things that I was going through. But I also realized for other more constructive choices, I needed a great deal of flexibility, creativity, and resourcefulness to create solutions that were more and more viable. Looking at current scenarios again, I'm going to take a lot of cues from the current state of affairs. I think now there has to be a constant form of dialogue with the environment for any problem solving. And you need to source out your own experience, your own memory, and bring empathy to provide a solution, because that's the only way you'll have the truest form of solution. Having said that, I'm going to go back to the whole dreaded formula building and give you a little insight on how can you really create that. And trust me, you could use this for anything and everything, and it works better than a pros and cons list. I have tried, and it works. You start by defining your problem. Very, very important. Let's say that, X is your problem. You need to start gathering more and more information around it. You need to see what possible solutions can be devised, keeping in mind your constants and your variables. Remember, it's an inward-looking process. You could easily assign value to your constant or establish parameters for your variable. Now, this is sounding a lot technical. I'll give you an example which will make this thing easier. Once you have established your LHS and RHS, we constantly again need to rethink how our outcomes could be reevaluated. More information would mean more changes to your variable. So re-encoding and creative modulation may be required from time to time. Coming to the example, wearing a mask could be a constant while it is a constant, but the material used to create that could vary, which becomes your variable. Or a disposable mask could be a constant for an elderly in the house to keep them more protected. But recycling process could be a variable giving us multiple outcomes. So you need to constantly put your choices in a way that you can assess them and reevaluate them in real time. And like I said, I would want you to engage in more inward-looking process where you reach out to your memory of a certain situation, assess multiple outcomes, and create sustainable options if exposed to the similar circumstance in future. The shift is literally from exploitative thinking to an exploratory form of thinking to do better. To sum this segment up, I think again, a set of questions would be interesting. Super easy, super relatable. How can I make my COVID-related years more eco-friendly? How can I save animals from ingesting plastic in my surrounding? How can I improve my quality of life by acknowledging early climate stressors? Answer these questions, and I think you will have some clarity on where you're heading. It was ironic or rather intuitive, I don't know, but we started working with about 1,000 students in 2019, right before the pandemic hit, on understanding the chaos theory and how to manipulate chaos for a better outcome, how to use that as a foundation for invention through creative and disruptive thinking. And while this project, of course, has got prolonged with the current pandemic as center for study, these young, brilliant minds were already creating design solutions that were dynamic and evolutive in nature. So sometimes chaos lets you step back, assess where you're heading. And that's what we need now to assess our choices in our day to day life. The climate stresses have been quite evident lately. I think we have seen so much happening that it reminded us of the 2012 movie, I assume. But what we fail to understand is that they're not a distant reality anymore. It's happening as we speak. We see climate stresses being more and more evident. And what we fail to see is that our immediate solutions are harboring more systemic vulnerabilities, which are in the form of global warming, there's reduction in biodiversity, risk to more viruses, plagues, etc. And also, as a society, we try and always look up to these organizations or government bodies to enforce sustainable guidelines. But don't you think it is also our responsibility? We're equal stakeholders in this. So your daily choices would actually have a ripple effect on the total outcome of how we perceive or how we wish to view the world. Your and my actions will shape our future, the world's future. So you have to take control in the effort of doing better. Remember again, it's not just survival of the fittest, but to thrive and survival of all living organisms present in our ecosystem. So in the end, I would want you to close your eyes, take a deep breath again, and lend me your imagination. What does our better normal look like? And how do you think we can work towards it?